All right, let's get right into it. Have you ever wondered why some New Year's resolutions just stick while others completely fizzle out by February? Well, the secret isn't about having more willpower. It's actually about having a better design. In this explainer, we're going to look at the science of building habits like an architect would, with a solid blueprint, the right tools, and the system that's actually built to last. And we absolutely need that blueprint because of this number right here, 91%. That is a staggering number of resolutions that just fail. Now, if you've ever felt that sting of frustration, trust me, you are not alone. You're in the vast majority. But here's the most important part. It's not a personal failing. It was never about you. It's a design flaw in the whole approach. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into why that 91% number is so ridiculously high. Then we'll uncover the real formula for change, and we'll shift our thinking from goals to identity, which is huge. After that, we'll stock up our Architect's Toolkit with some seriously cool science-backed strategies. And finally, we'll figure out how to build a system that can actually survive when life, gets in the way. Okay, so let's start with the big problem. Why do so many of us, even with the absolute best intentions, fall short? Well, the science points to one clear culprit. We're all just using the wrong strategy. And what's really fascinating here is just how quickly things start to fall apart. Check this out. Research from Dr. John Norcross shows that after just 1 week, almost a quarter of people have already given up. Then you have what the fitness app Strava calls Quitter's Day. That's the second Friday in January. By the time we even get to mid-February, a whopping 80% of resolutions are completely gone. It's this incredibly predictable pattern of decline. And this quote from Dr. Wendy Wood just hits the nail on the head. She's a leading researcher in this field, and she says, we fail not because we don't want it enough, but because we just don't understand how habits actually form. We treat it like it's this short sprint of motivation, when really it's a marathon of building smart, strategic systems. All right, so if raw motivation isn't the answer, then what is? This is where we make a huge pivot. We're moving away from the problem and diving into the solution, looking at the actual scientific formulas that drive our behavior. Okay, this right here, this is the Fogg behavior model. And honestly, it's a total game changer. BJ Fogg from Stanford basically shows that for any behavior to happen, you need 3 things to line up at the exact same moment: motivation, ability, and a prompt. B equals MAP. The reason resolutions fail is because we pin all our hopes on motivation. But motivation is super unreliable, right? It goes up and down. So when it dips, and trust me, it always does, the whole thing collapses if the task isn't easy enough or if there isn't a clear trigger to get you started. And that brings us to this just monumental insight from James Clear. He says you don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Think about it. Winners and losers often have the exact same goals. The person who succeeds and the person who fails both wanted to get fit. The difference wasn't the goal, it was the system they built to keep them going when that initial motivation inevitably disappeared. Now, let's build on that with an even more powerful idea. What if the most lasting change isn't about what you want to do, but about who you want to become? So check this out. A massive study in Sweden found that the way we frame our goals makes a huge difference. They found that approach goals, things like, I will eat fruit every day, were way more successful than avoidance goals like, I'm going to stop eating sweets. It turns out our brains are just wired to move toward a positive target, not just run away from a negative one. And this slide just lays out the difference perfectly. An outcome-based habit is all about the finish line. I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, but what happens after you lose them? The journey's over. An identity-based habit, on the other hand, is about who you are right now. A healthy person makes healthy choices. A reader reads books. See the shift? The focus moves from a temporary goal to a permanent part of who you are. Here's a great way to think about it. Every single action you take is like casting a vote for the type of person you want to become. Going for a run isn't just about burning calories. It's you casting a vote that says, I am a runner. Reading just 1 page is a vote for I am a reader. Each tiny action is another piece of evidence, building this case for your new identity, until eventually it just feels totally natural. Okay, so we've got the mindset down. Now let's get practical and stock our toolkit. These are the hands-on scientific strategies you can start using today to design those identity-based habits. First up is one of the most powerful tools in all of behavioral science, the implementation intention. This isn't some vague goal. It's a pre-made decision for your future self. And the research on this is just stunning. Making this simple if-then plan can make you 2 to 3 times more likely to actually do the thing. And this is the formula. It's beautifully simple. If this situation happens,
then I will do this behavior. So if it's 7 a.m. on Monday, then I will put on my running shoes. You're not relying on willpower in that moment anymore. You've already made the decision. When the cue happens, the behavior just fires off, almost automatically.
Next up, we've got James Clear's 4 Laws of Habit Formation. This is such a brilliant, simple framework for engineering any good habit. You just have to ask 4 questions. How can I make it obvious? How can I make it attractive? How can I make it easy? And how can I make it satisfying? And hey, if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip these laws on their head. So here are a few more heavy hitters for your toolkit. First, environmental design. Make the good stuff easy to see and the bad stuff hard to get to. Next, the 2-minute rule. Shrink any new habit so it takes less than 2 minutes to start. Read 1 page. Do 1 push-up. It makes starting feel effortless. You can also try temptation bundling. That's where you pair something you should do with something you want to do, like only listening to your favorite podcast while you're at the gym. And finally, and this one is so important, celebrate the tiny wins. Research from BJ Fogg shows that it's that immediate feeling of success, that little pat on the back, that actually wires the habit into your brain for the long haul. Okay, let's get real for a second. No plan is perfect, and life happens, right? A truly strong system isn't one that never breaks. It's one that's designed to survive a little chaos. We've all heard this one, right? It takes 21 days to form a habit. This is probably one of the most persistent myths in self-help. And you know what? It actually sets people up for failure. Because when day 22 rolls around and the new habit still feels like work, people think, oh, I failed, and they just give. So let's just be super clear about this. The 21-day rule is a complete and total myth. It actually came from a misinterpretation of a plastic surgeon's observations back in the 1960s. It was never based on scientific research about habits. So what's the real number? Well, groundbreaking research by Dr. Philippa Lawley found that the average time for a new habit to feel automatic is actually closer to 66 days. And what's even more interesting is the range she found. It took anywhere from 18 to 254 days. The takeaway here is to be patient with yourself and focus on being consistent, not on some magic number on a calendar. And this might just be the most freeing, most liberating finding from her entire study. Perfection is not required. Missing a single day does not ruin your progress. It's that all-or-nothing thinking that kills so many good intentions. If you miss a day, the rule is simple. Just get back on track the very next day. One mistake doesn't mean the whole system is broken. And that brings us to our final and maybe most important tool, self-compassion. When you do slip up, and you will, research by Dr. Kristen Neff shows that beating yourself up just makes things worse. It triggers something called the what the hell effect. Well, I already broke my diet with 1 cookie, so I might as well eat the whole box. Self-compassion is what breaks that cycle. It lets you acknowledge the mistake without judgment and simply get back to your plan. It is the ultimate resilience tool. So let's bring this all home. Lasting change isn't about the one-time goal of winning some game. It's about designing a system that lets you keep playing day after day, especially when you don't feel motivated. It's about building an identity, one small action at a time. So the only question left for you is this. What is the first brick you're going to lay for your new identity? What's that tiny 2-minute action you can take right now to become the person you want to be?